All right, beginners, is a new day of literature. So this is going to be our third page to read. Let's go ahead and open up the book together. Oh, I'm sorry, what is literature? Literature is the best written expression of the best thought. Say it with me, literature is the best written expression of the best thought. Great job. So let's open it up. And let's see what happened in this page. Do you remember? It talked about who? It talked about Columbus, and it talked about his father that we can see in the background. And his father worked with a loom, and he made maybe clothes or fabrics, because that's what he did with a loom. But is that what Columbus's passion was? No, he didn't want to work with a loom. He wanted to what? Sail the ocean. So let's turn the page again. What happened here? Here, remember, he loved sitting outside the city gates. Why? Because a whole bunch of people from different parts of the world, or people that would travel, would come because they lived next to the ocean. They lived in, remember that word? It starts with a P, a port. So that's why he loved listening to all the stories and all the stories that they'd say about the sea monsters, or stories that they say when they landed in this new place, all the stories that he was just so captivated by. So let's go ahead and turn the page again. And we're right here, and here's Columbus, and he's holding an orange, and there's a little butterfly. It may be hard to see. You have it in your book, so you should be fine. All right, so let's get our pointer fingers ready. I'm gonna kind of read slow. Make sure you stay along with me the best you can. Pause the video if you lose your place. Don't just sit there and just look around. Make sure you pause the video, get your finger on the place, and have your mom and dad press play, all right? Because we want to learn to read together. So I'm gonna say it with me, all right? Once, when Christopher held an orange in his hand, he saw the tips of a butterfly's wings peeping up from behind it. Ooh. He thought that just like this did the sails of a ship from far away rise slowly over the horizon. It must be true that the world was round. Because remember, he'd hear people what? From the other page. He'd hear people tell stories of what? Sorry, this page. Of how people were saying that the world was what? It was flat. And if you got too close to the edge, you'd fall off. But other people were saying, no, it's not flat, it's round. And people would laugh at the people that said it was round. All right, so right here where it says but when he said this to the other boys who were sailing and playing with him on the long pebbled beaches outside of town, they all laughed. Then the people in India and China, at the other end of the world, must be walking upside down like flies on a ceiling, they giggled. Christopher did not like to be laughed at. He was a serious boy and laughed little himself. So that means, did he laugh a lot? No, he was very serious. It means if someone would tell a joke, he'd be like, He wouldn't laugh a lot. He didn't have a great sense of humor, probably. All right. He was a serious boy and laughed very little at himself. He found it better to keep his thoughts to himself and let the other boys admire his strength and skill at handling a boat. He got most of his schooling while he played and sailed with the other Genoese boys. But he also learned some Latin and navigation. He could find his way in the open sea with a compass, the sun, and the stars. With his two younger brothers as crew, he sailed up and down the Genoese coast and delivered the goods his father had woven. So what did he do as a job? He would go on a little boat, not a big ship, but a little boat. And he would go with who? His brothers. And they would go and drop off whatever his dad has made that people have purchased. So if his dad made a big woven blanket, he would put it on a boat, he'd grab his brothers, and they'd go and drop it off. That sounds like a lot of fun, huh? All right, so that is the end for today's reading. Now, something that you got in your packet was a little butterfly like this in a square paper. Go ahead and carefully cut it out the best you can. It may be hard because it has very skinny antennas, just like that. All right, so you can have your mom or your dad help you cut it out. But the reason we have this beautiful butterfly is because what? Do you guys remember seeing the picture? It's even on the cover. The picture, he's holding an orange and there's a butterfly. So you guys can find in your house, maybe if you have an apple or an orange or anything round in your house, you can go ahead and grab it. I have this beautiful apple that Ezra gave me last year for my birthday, or I think it was my birthday, or the end of the school year. I don't know, but it's a very beautiful apple. It's white and it'll never go old, which I love. All right, so you get the orange. So he's holding an orange. I want you to hold the orange in front of you, just like this, all right? So you have an orange, and what happened when he was holding the orange? He saw these little peeping wings, and he held it very still, and a butterfly was on the other side of the orange, and he thought to himself, the world has to be what? The world has to be round, because just like this butterfly comes, when he looks out on the horizon, he starts to see the boats come closer and closer. So he thought, the world's not flat, it's round, just like this. So you can use the example just like Christopher Columbus had when he was young. Or if you have a really big world like this, you can imagine the butterfly like this. But what did the boys tease him about? They said, if we're standing up right now, that means the people where? In China and Africa are probably what? Upside down. Is that how it works? No, we have gravity. But they didn't know that much back then. All right, so moving on to our page, it looks just like this. It says Christopher Columbus, page 8 and 9, which we just read. Columbus admired. What's admired mean? Can you say admired? Admired means he had a passion for, he loved. So Columbus admired the beauty of God's creation and design to learn all he could about the earth. So he did what? He admired what? He admired God's creation, just like he made what for us? He created things for us, and we should what? Admire it too. We should think, wow, that's beautiful. Look at the ocean, look at the mountains, look at the land. All right, so he admired all that God had created, and he had a desire to learn all he could about the earth. Now, what are we learning this year? We're learning about geography, which means we're going to learn the study of the world and maps and how things work, just like Columbus had a passion and a love to learn about God's creation. So Columbus had admired and wanted to learn about what? Geography, just like we are. So it says, where did Christopher want to sail? Now that sounds like a tricky question. It didn't straight out say he wanted to go to this place and that place, but if we look in our book, they were hinting at he wanted to go to, do you guys know the two places I mentioned where the boys teased him out about? India and China. So you're going to go ahead and write on this little line, India and China, just like this. Go ahead and pause the button if you have to. Awesome. All right, so now that was it for today's, oh, I'm sorry, that was not it. We have one more page. Ta-da, you have this page in there. I don't know what teacher was thinking. All right, so right here it says, find north by the North Star without a compass. So Christopher Columbus had what? He had a compass. Now a compass is like a circle, and it has, let me draw it right here for you. He had, let's see. Can you guys see from right here? Let's move this up. This is a compass. All right, and it had a whole bunch of little lines just like this, and it'd tell you which direction you to go. So in the middle, it had a little needle or two, and or not like that. It had a little needle. So you can hold the compass just like this in your hand, and it'd be pointing so you know which way to go, which way was north, which way was west, so you can know if you're going the right way or the wrong way, so you don't get lost where? In your travels. So on a paper, but Columbus, did he know just how to navigate with just a compass? No, he learned to navigate with what? What's something else God gave us before a compass? Because man made compass But what God gave us, he gave us what? The sun and the stars. So for our top one right here, we're gonna write stars because God gave us the stars. All right, so that goes right up here, stars. And down here, God gave us what? The sun. Do you know how they use the sun? I'll give you a hint. Every morning, I don't know if your window, every morning when I wake up, my window is facing this direction. It's facing over here. So every morning when I wake up, I see the sun rise. Does the sun wake up this day one day and then the sun comes up this way and the next day he comes up? No, every day the sun will come up in the same place and the sun will go down in the same place. That's one way we can know how to navigate by the sun, and the stars as well. The stars are always moving, but you can, once you learn the stars by their name, you know which way to go. That's pretty neat, huh? How God has given us all these things so we don't get lost. All right, so that was before a compass. I hope you guys enjoyed today's literature, and I will see you guys in literature for next week.